is up, YouTube? As you can see, I'm on a new bike. Those of you that follow me on Instagram have already seen some nice shots of it. Excuse my runny nose this fine summer morning. Still have some holdouts from spring in my nostrils. But yeah, KLR650. This is now my little dual sport adventure bike. Wow, you're going slowly. Looking forward to many adventures with you guys and this beast right here. I never know what to do when I have just one key for something on a certain key ring, so I got this nice little cycle gear keychain there, and it's sort of flopping around everywhere. That was a cop. But yeah, I already got a bunch of dual sport gear. I tried putting on my motocross boots, and I cannot shift for absolute shit in them with this bike. So I'm gonna have to get some adjustments to the, I'm gonna have to do some adjustments to the shifting lever. Maybe get a longer one, but it depends. I'm gonna start out by just lifting at a notch or two, a spline or two, I think is the term. But yeah, the thing is almost bone stock. I think it maybe has a bigger tank on it, because I think when I filled it up the first time, it was like 5.5 gallons or something went into it, and I think that means it has like a 6.5 gallon tank, one of the aftermarket ones. I don't know, I haven't really looked into it all that much though. And then it's got the National Cycles Touring windscreen here on it. It's a little bit better than like the stock one as far as keeping wind like off of your chest, which is nice. It's definitely a lot better than my SR at speed. A lot of fun, really fun bike so far. I've attempted to wheelie it, but I haven't really put enough effort into it to make it happen. I've seen it done. I've seen it done regularly, so I know it's possible. But while it is very torquey, it's a very heavy bike. I think it's the heaviest of the class, like between the Suzuki DR650 and then the KLR, Kawasaki's KLR650 and the Honda XR650. I believe it is in fact the heaviest. I don't know what Yamaha has to offer in this range. I don't even know if they make like this size and shape adventure bike sort of thing. I don't know if they do or not. Yeah, it's torquey. It's no CBR, that's for sure. It's not, the wheel's not going to come up by accident on this thing. I'm 99% sure of that. Really good low-end torque because it's just one big 650cc cylinder, and maybe 649 or something. I don't know the exact size. But big ass bike. Lots of cop. I was going 65 in at the time 45. Lovely. I don't think they're gonna notice. One thing I love about this bike is that I'm so under the radar. Like literally no one pays attention to me. No one thinks it doesn't look like a hooligan bike. It just looks like a big ass old man grandpa bike, Not exactly gold wing status, but I do need to get used to that speedo though, because I'm currently going 20 over. And it does not feel like it at all, because I don't have I've got wind on my head but not on my body, so I just feel like I'm sitting in a fucking car. But I already replaced the stock wind breaker things here with some of Sherby's actual hand guards. I forget which ones. I think the Rally Pro, it was something Pro, Race Pro, I don't know, but there was two different versions. One was the Race 3 and one was the something Pro, and I got the Pro version, the cheaper one. Yeah, I've done a little bit of carb work to it since I got it, because it was sitting for several years. So I'm still I think I've got a bottle of seafoam in it. I mean, you're gonna see it's a pretty fast bike. I mean, it takes a while to get up to speed, but I'm going 85 right now. So it's not like the bike, isn't highway capable. But it definitely has issues getting up to I think 90 is the fastest I've taken it, and you need a fairly long straight in order to take it up above that. The bike is very flickable. surprisingly flickable. It's got older tires now, so I'm not going to do anything, you know, particularly crazy on it just because I don't necessarily trust them. But as far as like just moving around, I mean, you could throw the bike around like it's not, you know, the giant heavy beast that it is. Very pleased with that for sure. And it's got dual sport tires on it right now, and like I feel very planted when I go around corners. I haven't really taken a lot of corners at high speeds yet. I don't necessarily plan to with this bike. I got my fair share of that the other day with my run up Blood Mountain with Sticker Bomb. What I initially planned to do with this bike when I looked into it was turn it into a supermoto. I've since changed my mind entirely because, wow, the difference of wind like right here is like holding my hand up, and when I push it down to right here, it's like the bark busters do such a good job of keeping just the wind off my hands. That's cool. But yeah, so I was initially going to basically try to supermoto it, but it is not the right bike for that by any means. And if you're planning on getting something like a KLR or a XR or even a DR, which is the lightest of the class, and planning on turning it into a supermoto, it's not, it could be worth it, depending on how much money you have. I don't necessarily have the money to spend on, you know, getting the supermoto rims and all the whole dealio set up, so I'm not going to be going that route, because I think that in the end it would be cheaper, it would be more effective to buy a supermoto, or, you know, to buy a supermoto ready motorcycle and throw the rims on it and everything. Those bikes are just too heavy for it. One of those instances where, like, you know, CCs don't necessarily equal a faster or better bike, because even though this is a hell of a lot bigger than a little 250, a 250 is going to wheelie all day long, and usually when people get supermotos, it's because they want that, you know, really good torque wheelie capabilities, the lightweight aspect. It's not a lightweight bike, it's a heavy bike. So if you're interested in getting this, like, or a bike in this class to turn it into a supermoto, almost certainly not worth the time and effort it would take. But, and here's the big but, if you're planning on doing like enduro stuff, or like single track trails, or even just something like fire roads, you know, those like service roads out in the national forest and things, if you're planning on doing that, this bike is perfect. Like, all of the owners of this bike, if you're not familiar, there's a huge cult following of KLR650s because they're incredibly cheap, they run for fucking forever, and there's like one or two things that are known to kind of sometimes fail on them, and one is like the doohickey, which I at some point I knew what it was and what it did, but it's basically a modification because sometimes something rattles and breaks or something like that on the inside of the engine, and it's just a preventative, like, reinforce it now so you don't have problems later deal. Not everyone has issues with it, but enough people do that they're like, yeah, you should probably go ahead and do it just for preemptive measures rather than breaking down out in the bush somewhere. But yeah, very, very exciting purchase. Yeah, it doesn't pull like a freight train by any means. It's certainly a lot better than my SR400, which is the only other thumper I've ever actually ridden. And that is what it is, you know, it's a big single-cylinder thumper. So, yeah, that's what I was going to do with the bike. I've since changed my mind. Now, I'm actually going to be turning this into a full-on adventure bike, and very, very much looking forward to the final result. It's very tall. I do need to get used to that. I can flat-foot it, but not without, you know, I wouldn't say great difficulty, but definitely not without being careful and paying careful attention to what I'm doing. But yeah, it's a fun bike. It's a torquey bike. Definitely faster than, like, you know, cars. You know, it's not one of those bikes you get on and you're like, wow, this is about as fast as a Prius. Like, you know, it's not a little Grom that's tiny and you throw around and have a bunch of fun with. It's a big bike, but it carries its weight extremely well, and it's not the type of bike that you'd, like, you know, get up to speed, and I don't know if there even is a type of bike that you get up to speed and it feels like a boat, unless you're on some, like, fucking huge Harley or the Goldwing or something. But yeah, so I'm basically going to turn it into the ultimate long-term road trip anywhere adventure bike. So I've got the handguards on there. I'm going to be reinforcing. I'm going to get an aluminum skid plate for it. I'm going to get a bunch of aluminum case guards. I definitely don't want to add to the weight, but I want to add to the structural soundness of the motorcycle. Replace things that are going to, you know, preemptively break down the road, have replacements ready. I'm putting an IMS, maybe the Asherbees if they make one, I don't know. But I'm going to put a big 10-gallon tank if I can on it, which sounds ridiculous because it is, but it actually replaces this fairing down here that covers like the sides of the radiator with gas tank. And it has a pump down there that actually pulls gas from the bottom back up to the top, and down in like the petcock area. So it's a really, really awesome system. There's some room for failure with the, you know, having a pump down in there, but the pump is extremely easy to replace. It's not an involved process at all. So yeah, and with a 10-gallon tank, this thing gets about 55 miles to the gallon if it's tuned properly. I think I've been getting about 45 or 50 with this one, so I know it's going to need a little bit more carb work before I'm finished with it to really get all the power out of it that I want. And of course, I'm going to do even more. I'm going to get it rejetted. I'm going to get a FMF power bomb header. I'm going to get a Q4, maybe the Q4. I'm kind of making up my mind, but probably the Q4 FMF exhaust. Get it rejetted, of course, to fit that. K&N air filter. I'm going to get the... I'm going to open up the air box a lot more because the stock one is extremely constrictive. Restrictive? Constrictive? One of those two. You know, it doesn't allow a lot of airflow. Stock. Definitely get rid of the stock exhaust though, ASAP. It's very, very heavy. It has a lot of resistance, which can be great for low-end torque, but at higher speeds on highways, you know, you don't have a whole lot of power. From what I've seen on the different dyno runs from the additions that people have done, there's one, like, I think called the 29-cent mod or something. Very, very easy to do. Very cheap to do, obviously. It's why it's called the 29-cent mod. But it does a great deal to improving the general ride quality of the bike and power across the entire power band. Or not across the entire rev range, not even just in the power band. So it's pretty cool. So I'm going to get that done here pretty soon. And then I'm going to actually put money into the bike and make it, you know, run the way I want it to, perform the way I want it to. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. You're going to have a lot of adventures with this bike here. But the first thing, I need to learn how to shift in motocross boots and make that work, because I'm not off-roading without motocross boots. I've seen too many people break their legs. Anyway, guys, I think this video is probably getting a little long, so I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out, YouTube.